Welcome back to Capitol Side. I'm Tim Boyum. Whether it's hurricanes, floods, or COVID-19, there has been no shortage of emergencies in North Carolina lately. It's more important than ever for leaders to be prepared to respond. That's why the president of the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners launched his 100 Counties Prepared initiative, aims to give county leaders across our state the tools they need to effectively respond in times of crisis. For more on that, we bring in Frank Williams with the County Commissioners Association, serving as Brunswick County Commissioner as well. Sir, it's good to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Tim, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Before we get to this initiative first, tell us a little bit about the association and what it does for the counties across the state.
Thank you. It's a great organization that's primarily there to be a resource for county commissioners to help us do our jobs more effectively. The association provides lots of training, lots of abilities to connect with other commissioners who have more experience, and it's also our voice at the legislature. So if there's an issue that's affecting counties, the association staff will be in the legislature making sure that they hear our side of it.
Well, and it's not ironic, I guess, but that you're sort of leading this now, and you are on the coast, and it is almost hurricane season. Well, it really is the heart of hurricane season in North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about this initiative and what it aims to do.
The initiative really was born out of the defining moment of my tenure as a commissioner, which was Hurricane Florence. I was board chairman in Brunswick County when Florence spent 3 days dumping water here. So I gained a lot of insight there as to what I viewed as a very glaring need to have more training for county commissioners on how to lead during an emergency. Our staff was well trained. Our sheriff's office was well trained. Our state partners, they knew what they were doing. But I'd seen very little training for elected officials on what our job is and is not during an emergency. So that's the main goal, is to fill that gap by creating and providing training resources for elected county officials on how to lead when something does come to their county that they're not expecting.
Well, and to that point, what are the hardcore duties of county commissioners in particular when a disaster like this strikes? Because there are a lot of different agencies that pitch in, obviously.
There are a lot of different agencies, but in many situations, the County Emergency Services Office is going to be the lead organizer. In Florence, everything flowed through our County Emergency Services Office, and our job as commissioners is to be a resource for our staff, in many ways to be their eyes and ears, while they're managing the day-to-day, to know what's going on in the community, what emerging needs are happening that our staff may not be aware of, and to help connect our staff with resources and relationships. One of the biggest things I was able to do was connect our county with people in the state government and the federal government that I knew from working with them on other projects. And if there was something that was hung up in emergency management, I knew who to call to have them walk down the hall and try to get that particular issue moved forward so that we could get things done and not be hung up because something was sitting there on somebody's desk.
So in the real world, what does this look like then, this initiative and this training for these county commissioners across the state?
One of the first things we're going to do is identify what the topics are. I think crisis communication is going to be a big part of it, how to communicate with our citizens and with the media when there is a crisis situation happening. I envision a combination of in-person training and online training. And we certainly want to hear from experts, but we also want to learn from each other. My vision is at the end of a year that there will be the beginnings of an online resource where a new commissioner who's elected in 2024 can go and just watch a video where people who have been through emergencies are talking about what they learned and how to deal with it. We've got lots of large counties like Wake and Mecklenburg that have tons of resources. We have at least one small county in the western part of the state where their county manager is also their emergency services director. So they just don't have the resources that a big county would have. We can help them avoid having to reinvent the wheel every time a new commissioner gets elected or a new staffer comes in by putting together these resources and materials for them.
Yeah, I want to talk about more of that in a minute, and what this also means for the residents that are impacted by these storms and other issues. Much more on the issue of counties and dealing with these emergency disasters and the training that is on the way, coming up next here on Capitol Tonight. Welcome back to Capitol Tonight. I'm Tim Boyum. We're talking about the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners 100 Counties Prepared Initiative. It's focusing on making sure every county has what it needs to respond in emergencies. Welcome back to the association's president, Frank Williams, who also serves on the Brunswick County Commission. Good to see you, sir. Again, thanks for staying with us. You mentioned before the break about one county in western North Carolina that has, the county manager is also the emergency person in that county.
Right.
Haywood County, I think, was one of the counties that got really hard hit by this. What is it like for these counties, especially the rural ones, when they go through one of these disasters? I mean, in some ways, I imagine they feel, out on an island almost.
They can feel like they're on an island. They're so consumed, or at least my experience with Florence, they're so consumed with what's going on in their county that they have no idea what may be happening in the next county because they're busy dealing with just the craziness of an emergency situation. I think what they need to know is that our association is here to help them, that we're working on putting together resources to help them do their job more effectively. And one of the things I observed during Florence is when a storm comes or whatever the emergency is, the citizens expect the people that they elect to have a plan, to know how they're going to handle it, and to be able to communicate to them what they need to do next. A simple example of that during Florence was people who had evacuated, who needed to know which roads were open so that they could come home, or if they could come home. And in the absence of accurate information, they will get something off of social media that's not accurate and share it. And then we have to spend our time combating misinformation. So it's important for elected officials to have a plan to communicate to people what they need to know, when they need to know it, where they need to turn to get the information they need to be able to handle whatever emergency comes their way.
Well, and it feels like in some ways, after major hurricanes in the past, you had, years to figure out what you learned and how to change that. But, in Canton, for instance, we've had two 500-year floods within 17 years. I mean, is there a more urgent need to get this situated now?
I think it's important to learn from every situation that comes our way. And one thing I've learned is no two hurricanes are alike. In Brunswick County, Hurricane Hazel was always the benchmark for the damage it did on the coast back in the 50s. In the northern part of the county, Florence is still the benchmark. But last year, Isaias did more damage on our coast than Florence did. The Florence damage was more inland from the rain and the flooding. So every storm is different. And to me, the key is to learn from every single one so that you can be better prepared every time another storm or whatever the event is that comes, that you're more prepared for it. And I do want to emphasize this is not just about hurricanes on the coast. You mentioned Haywood County. Who would think about mudslides in North Carolina? But they had them. And we even had an earthquake last year in Allegheny County. So emergencies can take all shapes, sizes, and forms. And the biggest challenge is to be prepared for the thing you don't expect.
Yeah, like a public health crisis like we've had with COVID-19 over the past 18 months or so. That's another issue. Before we let you go, obviously this is important for county commissioners to get organized and learn these ways. But obviously people at home elect these people, and they are the ones that go through these disasters too. So what are the core benefits that you think this will provide for the residents who will be going through these disasters?
I think it'll give them the confidence that their local officials have the information and resources that they need. I was amazed at the number of inquiries I received during Florence from people wanting to know the most obscure things that maybe didn't even have to do with county government, but I was able to get them the information, even if it wasn't something the government was involved with. And so that then they can know that they have somewhere to turn to get accurate information, and they don't have to rely on social media to be their go-to for everything. And that they'll know that their elected officials are prepared to lead them through the crisis.
All right. Well, sir, thank you so much. Timely information now, and obviously moving forward for county commissioners across the state. It's good to see you. Thanks for some time.
Thank you, Tim. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Appreciate it. In the meantime, we are out of time for tonight. As always, if it's on Jones Street or Main Street, you will find it right here in Capitol Tonight. Stay safe. Look after each other. We'll see you right back here.